here? In the ancient times, tourists used to buy their guides espresso wherever they found a cafe available. I guess time have changed. All right, listen. We just crossed through that wall, which is a wall from the Crusader era. Who were the Crusaders? Any clue? Anyone? Hello? Jacob, look, do you see any answer here? Anyone has a clue who are the Crusaders? Crusaders were Catholic knights from Western Europe. We're speaking of France, England, Germany, in that area. We're talking about an interesting time period where the popes were very strong political and spiritual leaders of Europe of those days. Pope Urban II in the year 1096 AD delivered a speech in a little French town called Clermont, in which he is actually challenging the Catholic people to go and liberate the holy sepulchre, holy tomb, Christ's tomb, from the hands of the infidels. Who were the infidels? Muslims in those days. And obviously there were Jews and Muslims living in the country at that time. So the Pope is encouraging anyone who wants to be called a Christian to prove by deeds that he indeed is a Christian. How? Take your sword, fight and liberate that place. Folks, not going to get into the details right now. We're going to see some other sites from the time of the Crusaders. But I do want you to understand that thousands upon thousands of people from all different types of the population of Europe of those days, peasants and knights and rich people and old people and young people and children, they all had their own crusades. Starting, marching from Western Europe, making their way across Europe, all the way coming from Turkey towards Lebanon and approaching Israel from the north, besieging this area, taking it, and in 1099 they are pronouncing and they are declaring the Jerusalem kingdom, controlled by the Crusaders. What they did here, they did it a bit later. They took a little portion of the original city of Caesarea from the time of Herod, and they surrounded it with a moat and a wall. The wall and the moat you saw are just from 1,000 years ago, but the moment you walk in, you're still back from the time, in the time of Jesus, you're back to 2,000 years ago. It's mostly the walls and the moat and some buildings here, but you're back actually in the downtown of Caesarea by the sea. In other words, the Crusaders only revived a little portion of the original city that existed here at the time of Christ. You understand that? Wonderful. This is a huge platform that was supporting a big shrine for Jupiter that Herod built. Later on, when the Roman Empire accepted Christianity, a huge church existed here. Later on, when Islam came, a huge mosque was standing here. Later on, when the Crusaders came back, a church was built on the right-hand side but never completed because it collapsed, and that's the end of holy site there. In the 1800s, the Turkish Empire brought here a bunch of Bosnian Muslims and tried to settle them here. Therefore, this mosque is standing from that time. This is the tower of the mosque where they call for prayer from over there. And of course, the buildings here are not from the time of Paul. Now, you can have a clue of how much this area was covered with water at the time of Jesus. because that was part of the harbor. This was the shallow water harbor, and the deep water harbor was further over there. Look, there's still water left over here. You see that? The people that came with the big boats will dock them right by the big breakwater that Herod built. Then the dignitaries would move to smaller boats, and the smaller boats will bring them all the way here. Next to that green sign, this was a big staircase that led them up to that pagan shrine where they brought, obviously, sacrifice or some kind of offering for Jupiter. Capiche?
Capiche.
Let's continue.
Can we pass the back?